You've been hearing about Ruby Amethyst nonstop, but in my opinion, the true S tier deck of the format is actually Emerald Steel Discard. If you followed my channel for a while, you know we were very early on this train, dating back to pre-Rise of the Floodborn when Prince John was first released. And in this video, in this particular first match, you're going to see that we play the entire game against what is considered to be a bad matchup in Sapphire Steel because they play the Hiram Draw engine and a whole new world. Speaking of which, clearly they have two in hand because they just discarded one off Cinderella. We play this entire matchup without a Prince John, and we still end up coming out on top. And this deck is supposed to counter the Emerald Steel discard quite heavily because Steel with Grab Your Swords is able to board wipe the Buckies and the Prince Johns, even though we don't see one this match. And then the Sapphire engine just ramps through the discard anyways, and then Whole New World replenishes the hand, and or the Hiram engine draws cards on their turn, so the discard doesn't even matter. But you're going to see that no matter what happens here, the discard is just too strong. So you're going to see the opponent sets up a Beast Tragic Hero. That's all pretty strong. And thankfully, we have the second Tink here. And what we're going to do is shift Tink on top of Tink to deal 1 damage to the Beast so that they don't get the 2 draw and take out their Cinderella at the same time. Now the Bucky is going to force a discard. And the opponent, remember, discarded a Whole New World off of their Cinderella. And that clearly means that they have another Whole New World in hand. So we're going to sing Bippity Boppity Boo, get triple Cinderella back to, or Tinkerbell back to hand, and then re-drop the Tinkerbell. The opponent kind of realized what I did there. They give me the well played, and the Bucky forces the discard of the second Whole New World, which is their final card in hand. Clearly they were planning to sing that with Beast next turn. Now they're in top deck mode. They drop a Judy Hopps, which will banish the Popsicle, because that's more value right now than getting the 2 damage off of the Beast. And they top deck their third Whole New World. Can this go any worse for me as the discard player? But despite all that, they have lost tempo because they did pay 3 to cast the Judy Hopps. They do have a Fishbone Quill, which they do use, and their ink for the turn still. So they're going to go up to 4 ink, and they could potentially play something that is threatening. They drop the Popsicle to draw and likely banish to heal the Beast because they want me to not be able to take it out with the Tinkerbell, I guess, but I will do damage to it still. We have a Bippity Boppity Boo in hand, and I'm like, okay, let me just do this again. Force the discard off of the free resummon of the Tinkerbell. Deal 1 damage to both things, so the Beast still doesn't draw during their turn. They've got 4 cards left in hand thanks to the Bucky discard. And we do have a Lucifer in hand that we will likely drop here. I had so many options, I was really trying to think. Lucifer would have been a good choice, but I think the Benja might have been better here to stop them from drawing off, or dumping their hand with Fishbone Quill. So yeah, I experienced some kind of glitch there and my timer comes up, but that's totally fine. We end up dropping the Lucifer and they discard 1 action and they discard a Grab Your Swords, which means again, they likely have a Grab Your Swords in hand because they would likely just discard 2. So sure enough, they do have another Grab Your Swords, which they sing with the Beast, and then they drop Tinkerbell, and my guess is they're just going to try to dump their whole hand to prevent it from being discarded, and that's exactly what they do. But having gone through 3 Whole New Worlds already, it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to come back from this position. We top deck a Beast Tragic Hero, which is insane in this scenario, and you're going to really see why, if you build this deck, you do need to shell out the $200+ or whatever it is for 4 Beast Tragic Heroes. So we crash the Tinkerbell in order to wipe the opponent's board, leaving them with just the Tinkerbell. Then we drop the Benja, completely meaningless at this point to get rid of the Fishbone Quill. But I guess, you know, if the opponent inked 2 Hirams, if they top deck a Hiram, we just don't want to give them extra draw power. So they top deck a Bell, which doesn't really do anything in this scenario, unfortunately. Normally that would be a pretty good top deck on 9 ink, but given that we have so much advantage, it's not going to make a difference. We sing the Let the Storm Rage on to damage the exerted Tinkerbell, and then we crash our Jafar into it in order to draw. The opponent top decks an Eric and opts to play it for the 10 ink to get Bell +4 lore instead of playing it. So at this point, thanks to the draw off Beast Tragic Hero, we are able to draw into a Smash, which will finish off the Bell. Then we drop the second Beast, and at this point, I mean, the game was, I don't want to say over early, but yeah, it's a pretty rough spot for the opponent. They top deck their own Beast Tragic Hero, which is an amazing top deck, but unfortunately we had the Tinkerbell. We're going to ink the Donald here and probably ring the Bell it away. Yeah, we're just keeping the opponent on nothing. It's so savage, like, and this is the deck that's supposed to counter discard, by the way. They top deck a Prince Eric, and yeah, I mean, it's so underwhelming. I know the feeling. I played against discard, and I've lost to it. Maybe I'll post that matchup in my next video because I still have it recorded on my hard drive. But we just quest up to 16. I give them the well played because no matter what they top deck, there's nothing that's going to save them. So the Hades is going to take care of the Flynn Rider. They give me the well played, so good sport, Crimson. Thanks for sticking this one out. We're going to just give them the sauce again, though. Tinkerbell, I think that's my 4th Tinkerbell. Show them that we had the 4th or 3rd beast, I don't know, and then just quest for game. In this next matchup here, our hand is very, very bad, so we're going to have to mulligan away a lot. And we get the Bucky double Prince John, so if the opponent can't deal with this, it's pretty much over. They do have steal, so they have a chance to grab your swords. We drop the Bucky on turn 2. The opponent is on Ruby Steel, which is a very non-standard combination, but it is pretty strong in my opinion because it deals so well with like removal. And if you play a whole new world, which they normally should, they actually might have a decent matchup into discard, to be honest, because yeah, they have the board wipes, be prepared, grab your swords, and they have the hand refresh with the whole new worlds, but also things like the Queen shift that you saw there, and Jafar can draw them cards on their turn to play around the discard during my turn. So it is pretty strong. The Tinkerbell takes out our Bucky, but it doesn't matter because we have Lucifer. So in case your Floodborn discard gets outed, which by the way, if you don't have Bucky, you basically lose. That's kind of how this deck works. But yeah, the Prince John is good, but it's Bucky with the Floodborn engine that really pops off. As you saw in that last match, the worst matchup for Emerald Steel discard, we didn't see a Prince John, but we saw the Bucky, and the Bucky put in that work. And then the Lucifer, I know people say that Lucifer is kind of a hit or miss. It's like a gimmick combo piece. It's been doing amazing work for me, as you can see in these matches. And then with the Prince John, right? This is what's nice about this deck is that either you have Bucky and Prince John with Floodborns, which you play like almost 20, or you just have like the Lucifer in isolation, or even just like Prince John and Lucifer, and you can see that the result. Like, we have so many cards in hand, it doesn't even matter that our Prince Johns get outed there. The Hypnotize is now free ink. The Lucifer did its job, and we can easily deal with this now because, yeah, we're just in total control. We only drop a Prince John here just in case the opponent wants to take out our Lucifer with the Tinkerbell. They can't target the Prince John with the Tinkerbell deal 2, but they top deck a Grab Your Swords, which I'm sure they didn't mean to sing it, but I think the opponent knows the match is over at this point. Like, this game was over on like turn 4. Yeah, the discard engine is very broken, just because it's too strong. It is too strong, honestly. So yeah, the opponent's in top deck mode. Yeah, I mean, and when you top deck those like air quotes weenies, you know, there's nothing you can do here. So the Flynn Rider will close out the game extremely quickly here. We're not going to quest with the Cinderella to prevent the Tinkerbell from taking it out and dealing damage to it. We are going to drop our Tinkerbell in preparation to ring the bell their Tinkerbell away next turn. Let's see what they top deck though. Yeah, so Mini Surfer not going to do anything. We have a smash in hand for it. So yeah, again, it feels so bad playing discard, like, and we top deck, let the Storm Rage on, like, it's so unfair, discard. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You guys thought Ruby Amethyst was bad, and you know, to be honest, I rarely run into Ruby Amethyst for being a top tier deck. I don't know if people are sick of seeing it or playing it. It is a very, very good deck. It's tier 0 for sure because it's very consistent, right? Whereas discard, like I said, if you don't see the Bucky, it's pretty hard. And I've seen these other builds and they are very good, but I like this build because, like I said, if you don't see the Bucky or your Bucky gets outed, you at least have a backup engine in Lucifer. And with the Bippity Boppity Boo combos, they can synergize with the Floodborns or with the Lucifer and just still get your game plan rolling. So in this matchup here, I thought this was Amber Amethyst aggro, and it kind of is to a certain degree, but or maybe it just straight up is, and I just won the game too quickly, I don't know. But yeah, the opponent inks a goat, plays a Pinocchio, so it's looking like hyper aggro, right? We dropped the Cinderella on turn 2 because we didn't really have a turn 3 play, so we can opt to play Bucky on turn 3, and we've got double Floodborns lined up for turns 4 and 5. So the opponent unfortunately has a Mim Fox, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, my Cinderella goes, which would suck if I top deck a big Cinderella. And yeah, let the Storm Rage on, right? Like, more utility cards if we had more characters on board. But it's totally fine. We're going to drop the Jafar here and force the opponent to discard, and we're just probably going to pass off that. They discard a Stitch, so pretty low impact so far. can the opponent aggro out a win before it becomes too serious? So they ink a Rockstar Stitch and play a Rockstar Stitch, and they need this to survive in order to play weenies to draw off of the Rockstar Stitch. So what we're going to do here is drop the Beast Tragic Hero, forces them to discard a Pinocchio, and we just pass. We don't even do the bippity boppity boo. The opponent plays a Simba and then exerts it to draw, and they really do not want my Jafar to draw a card. Like, they're playing so heavily around the Jafar drawing, like, it doesn't matter. You need to be playing a game to try to win. You can't stall against this card, because this is what happens. So the Lucifer ends up dropping, and at this point I don't even care about the last card in their hand, because I'm going to put the onus on you to quest. They're going to drop the Arthur, which is pretty strong because it allows them to cycle things during their turn, which means I can't discard it. So at this point now I'm just going to quest and drop the Jafar most likely, and then pass, because if they want to out my Jafar with their Mim Fox, I'll at least have a backup here, which is really strong. And I don't quest with the Beast Tragic Hero for obvious reasons, because it's my draw engine. And this is the problem with decks like Hyper Aggro. They absolutely get shredded by anything steel. Yes, they can win against Ruby Amethyst, and they don't even guarantee that all the time, but they just get absolutely annihilated by steel. And so the opponent is doing their best to try to manage the board. You can't blame them. You know, they're doing their best with what they got. It's just a really, really bad matchup for them. Not even the fact that we just decimated their hand with the Lucifer and the Floodborn discards, but also the fact that, you know, all the steel pinging damage actions just out their board. So the Arthur's going to bounce back the Stitch. They're going to redrop the 1-drop Stitch. They got 2 cards left in hand. And watch what's going to happen here. This is going to wrap up the video though, guys. If you made it this far, please drop a like, even though it's kind of cringe to watch discard. I'm bringing you guys what I think is the top tier content. You watch my channel, I don't play discard, right, regularly. So don't hate me for it. I'm just bringing awareness to what it is. We drop the Tinkerbell, deal 1 damage to everything, make the opponent discard off Bucky, then we're going to quest with the Bucky, ink the small Tink, sing the Bippity Boppity Boo with the Beast Tragic Hero, because we're about to bounce the Tinkerbell, redrop it to wipe the opponent's board and force them to discard their last card. And just like the other matches, we absolutely decimate every single resource the opponent has. Thank you for watching. Quantum is out.